In God's 10 commandments, he's reminding his people of an old standard of keeping the Sabbath day in reverence and following his example. Good morning, I'm Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Thursday. We are reminded to keep the Sabbath day as a day of rest and a day of worship. God was actually our example whenever he created the earth in 6 days, and then he took that seventh day to rest. In Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8, he gives us that fourth commandment, saying, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." You know, there are many things that we're called to consecrate or to set aside in the service of the Lord, including a tenth of our income, our family, our children, even our body as a sacrifice, Paul says in Romans chapter 12. But here, God is calling for that one day of the week to be set aside for him. Remember, that word tells us that they had this practice even since the days of Adam and Eve when God first instituted man on the earth. You can work 6 days out of the week, but the seventh day must be seen as the Sabbath of the Lord your God. He has commanded that we give this day back to him. And he makes it so clear that you do no work on this holy day. And he also includes your son, your daughter, your male and female servant, even your cattle, which were your oxen, the work animal of that day, and even visitors that are in your home. He uses the example of God's work in creation. In 6 days, the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that's in it, and then he rested that seventh day. Unfortunately, under Jewish law in the New Testament, the traditions that they followed, they came to command that you couldn't even lift so many pounds of weight, that you could not walk more than so many paces on the Sabbath day. They took this great commandment of God to an extreme and, of course, made it a burden upon the people. All that God is really commanding here is that we keep the Sabbath day holy for him. That means that Sunday should be devoted to worship. After all, that's when most churches have their services on Sunday, to gather God's people together to spend time honoring the Lord. And it should also be a day of rest, he says, which simply means we're not to save all the work and our labors throughout the week for Sunday. We do them ahead of time so that we can rest on God's day. It doesn't seem like much to ask to give back to God one day out of every 7. Well, unfortunately, today, many people make it like any other day of the week, or they work, do everything else that they should not do. But he says the Lord has hallowed this day, made it sacred day for him. So as he has commanded us, let's remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy.